Hi everyone, today we'll be talking about different ways students can conclude their narratives. If you don't know who I am, my name is John and I've been tutoring since 2015, ever since I graduated in 2014. I attended Penrith High School and then transferred into Girrawheen High School after trying out 3 different times to transfer. I only do one-on-one tutoring as I believe students get a lot more value from the classes, even though group classes is a lot more profitable. This approach has been quite beneficial and we have seen a good number of students reach their goals without any gimmicks, and the size of my team has also increased accordingly. What I see today is that many of my students for writing are ending the stories in a very similar way. It's usually unpolished and undefined, and I feel like they just need different ways or need to know different ways to end their stories. Typically, it's the villain losing in just 1 or 2 sentences, or the good person wins and knocks out the villain following the lock principle of being that knockout, and the details is a lot shorter compared to the rest of the story, even in terms of the quantity in paragraphs. When writing a story, it's important to not only have an interesting beginning and middle, but also have a very satisfying end. A strong conclusion can help tie up loose ends, provide closure, and leave a lasting impression on the reader and the marker. Let's get into it. There are so many different ways to conclude a narrative, and it's really up to you to decide which one best suits you. But in today's video, I'm going to quickly go through 5 different ways that I find is the most practical for students to follow if they want to end their narrative in a nice way. Not all of these ways are going to be applicable for every story, so make sure to tailor this according to what you are writing about. Although conclusions are seen to be the least important parts of a story structure, I personally believe that a good ending or conclusion can make or break a story. If I am a marker and the rest of the story is amazing, but it ends on an unsavory or weird note, I will not be giving the student a high mark. This is the same approach of marking that is done in both selective schools that I attended and what I follow today when I teach students, and the rest of my team follows too. In terms of the 5 ways to wrap up a narrative, the first one is related to a moral or a lesson. One way to conclude a story is by incorporating a moral or a lesson. This can be something that the protagonist has learned throughout the story, or something that the reader can take away from the story. For example, in the story of Cinderella, it taught us that being kind and having perseverance can lead to great things. This can help give the story a deeper meaning and make it more memorable for the reader. The second way is a cliffhanger. Another way to conclude is having a cliffhanger, and this is not actually just hanging on to a cliff. This means a suspenseful ending that leaves the reader wanting more. It can be something as simple as, just as the detective was about to reveal the killer's identity, the door opened and the suspect walked in. This can be a great way to create a sense of anticipation for the next installment of the story, but in a test environment, if you only have 30 or 40 minutes, this may not be the most practical way to do this. Thirdly, a resolution. In contrast to a cliffhanger, a resolution provides a satisfying ending to the story. And this is what I usually recommend to a lot of the students that we teach, especially in timed test conditions. This can be something like, in the end, the main character was able to overcome their fear of public speaking and give a successful presentation. We usually don't do telling like this, as in we don't make it as explicit as what I just said, but we try to show that the main character has overcome their fear and that they've had a successful presentation. Whether it may be after the speech, the main character gives a sigh of relief and they hear a huge round of applause and he wins a trophy. I didn't say he won, I didn't say it was successful, but with a sigh of relief and a bunch of applause, we can assume that through showing. This can help tie up loose ends and give the reader a lot of closure. The second last one that I wanted to mention is a twist. This is a great way to conclude a narrative, is through this twist. It can be something unexpected that changes the direction of the story. For example, little did the main character know their best friend was the true cause of their relationship problems. We don't want to do telling again, but we'll probably show this. This can be a great way to surprise and engage the reader. And the last way you can conclude the story is through reflection. A reflection is the way that the protagonist will look back on the events of the story and make a statement about what they've learned. This is usually done in first-person point of view. This can be something like, looking back, the main character realized they should have trusted their instincts and not let others sway their decision. This can be a great way to give the story a sense of personal growth and development, and I usually like this approach and this type of ending, especially in stories if you are doing the HASS test or NAPLAN or even the New South Wales selective test if appropriate. So in conclusion, those are 5 different ways you can conclude a narrative. It's important to choose the one that best fits your story and help bring it to a satisfying conclusion. Whether you want to impart a lesson, leave the reader hanging, provide a resolution, surprise them with a twist, or have the main character reflect on their personal experience throughout the story, there are many options to choose from. Please do not think that these are the only ways that you can conclude your story, but I think this is a good way to kickstart your brain juices to think about how you can end your story instead of just saying, and then he woke up and it was a dream. He put off the mask and it was his brother all along. So hopefully that kind of gives you a bit of inspiration. If you have any other questions, feel free to write it down in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to respond to nearly every question, if anything. Like this video as it encourages me to make more videos that are going to be beneficial for you. If you want me to cover a certain topic, make sure to include that down below as well. And subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.